What's up, everybody? Super stoked. Back on the T8 Outdoors podcast. I got the magician Mike Burnside on the other end here, and he's got a really cool story, an absolutely amazing daughter who has an incredibly infectious desire for the outdoors. And we're going to dive into her story, how they got out into the woods. They started off from scratch, not knowing how to get out there, not knowing what to do. Kenzie's in a special situation with her unique abilities, and we're just gonna dive into Mike's mindset, how they got out there, and hopefully you guys can use that information in order to get yourselves out there as well. And then we're gonna hear a couple cool stories because she's been absolutely stacking some big animals lately, and I'm incredibly jealous. So, Mike Burnside, thanks for coming on.
Hey, Derek, glad to be here. Glad to talk to you.
Awesome. You wanna just jump in a little bit, tell us about your story, Kenzie's story, and how you guys do what you do?
Yeah, yeah. I was born in the country. I knew nothing but hunting and fishing. I tell people that we live in Northeast Oklahoma. I grew up most of my growing up was in Oklahoma, and I tell people you went to the sticks, then you went 5 miles past it. We were out in the sticks. I grew up hunting and fishing. In those days, it was nothing for a 6-year-old go with a brother with a 22, and you'd go shooting. You go possum hunting, raccoon hunting, hunting bullfrogs. Whatever.
Mm.
And so that was just my makeup. I mean, that's what I knew. So, uh, Kenzie, I moved back to Oklahoma uh, after we got married. My wife Janet and I got married. Met her in Texas. We moved back to Oklahoma and had our kids. We had triplets. Had Thor, Hunter, and Kinsey. And Hunter didn't make it. He died after 5 days. But Thor and Kinsey, we call them our surviving twins. And we found out at 9 months Kinsey had cerebral palsy. They classified it moderate to severe. And you always think, well, it's not going to be that bad. She'll be able to do this or that. And I say with those with disabilities, there's a grieving process. As you're grieving for their lost dreams, you're grieving for your lost dreams. And so, we went through Kinsey. I said we can either, whoa, pity me, or we can make Kinsey's the best life possible. And we always told her, hey, how when we can physically do it, mom or dad will help you do whatever. Well, I tell people I didn't know she was going to take it to that extreme. I mean, because she's done things that I was like, okay, I am getting too old for this. But we her brother and I, we would go hunting. He's off in the world working now, but as we're growing up, he and I would go hunting and stuff like that. And it wasn't until Kinsey got out of high school we heard about a foundation, Holy Pursuits, that would take kids on hunts. And a person told us about it, and I was like, well, yeah, and I didn't even know how it could happen. I never even envisioned how it could happen. So, that's kind of where it all began. I remember when I took Kinsey on the first time her and I went in a ground blind, and I was just doing hand over hand. She was having her hand over mine, when we fired a rifle. And the first time we went out in the ground blind, she told me, said, I always wondered, when you were taking Bubba, she called him Bubba because Thor was too hard for her to say. And she would, she told me, said, when you're taking Bubba, I always wondered when my time is. And now it's my time. And I was like, man, she'd been waiting to go hunting. And we just had to figure out a way to make it happen.
You sure
That's
did
kind
that,
of
and
what we,
10 times more.
oh, yeah. Yeah. I didn't know she's going to love it as much as she did.
That's amazing. Yeah. So if anybody wants to see some of these hunts Kenzie's on, how she deals with her cerebral palsy and how she shoots, and so you guys need to go and check out Mike's Instagram. Mike, what's your Instagram? Throw it out there real quick.
It's all one word, Mike Burnside, living life.
Mike Burnside Living Life. You guys got to go on to this Instagram account and check out Kenzie's harvest. She's harvested amazing animals, big bucks, big exotics, just like mind blowing. Some of these cool animals she's popped. And but what I love is her post harvest reaction. You know how we all get fired up and the adrenaline kicks in, and you get the shakes and all that, and you realize what's going on. But Kenzie, her post hunt reactions are just incredibly infectious. You'll watch it over and over and over again just to see this. No matter what your disability is, that adrenaline rush does not discriminate. It'll hit you hard and it'll hit you right in the kisser, dude. And it's so check out that Mike Burnside Living Life, all one word. Check it out on Instagram and check out some of these hunts. But so I see when she's shooting a rifle, she's using a sip and puff to pull the trigger, correct? How does that all work? How did that come
Yeah,
about?
yeah, that was when we went on that first hunt with the foundation, Holy Pursuits. That's when we went on a crossbow. She went on a crossbow whitetail hunt in Illinois, and that's where they had that sip and puff hooked up to the crossbow, and I hadn't even seen one before. Didn't even know how it worked, and we got there, practiced first afternoon, and I was like, wow, this is just mind blowing. That I didn't even know that could work like that.
Right.
So we did that the first fall, and after that winter, I said we got to get one of our own, for doing our own hunts, and so we bought one that right after the first year we bought one, and we've been using it ever since. And basically, when she sucks on the vacuum tube, Mom, it takes three of us because Kenzie doesn't have the fine motor skills, so someone has to sit by her to help her with the tube and the safety on the box. And so when I aim the rifle, the crossbow, shotgun, whatever it is, I aim and I whisper good. When I whisper good, that means for them to take over, and I try to zone out. I can't worry about what's going on behind me because inevitably, you've seen some reactions. She will blow. She blows on that vacuum tube. She gets buck fever and she blows and blows and blows, and it will not fire unless she sucks on that vacuum tube. And so, and Mom, I'll hear Mom saying, "Kenzie, suck, suck. You got to suck," and she'll finally suck. And it's automatic. When she sucks, it's automatic. But it's I say it makes it tough on me because she might fire in 1 second, and the longest I looked at the video, watched from when I whispered good. I listened to that until she fired was 8 seconds, and I've got to stay on target the whole time. If that animal's moving, whatever's happening, and when the gun goes off, it's a surprise to me. I have no idea, and it's like, okay, where did the bullet even hit it? It's one of those things that the rat the. I mean, it's a surprise, and like you said, her reaction. I always tell people, that she has no fine motor skills. She's dependent on somebody. She never has been able to do anything physically to provide for the family. And I said, from that first time when she was able to get, she put food on the table, food in the meat in the freezer, and she was so excited that she was doing something for the family. She was putting that meat on the table, and she just thought that was, overpowering. And we started, we were so successful on whitetails because here in Oklahoma, we got more whitetails we know what to do with, and you know we haven't ever donated any of the other meat because all the other meat, we have too many whitetails. We'll just donate that. We go to the food pantry and we'll donate excess whitetails, and kids just loves that, knowing that she's donating meat back to the community, and she has to go with me. She'll say, "Dad, I'm going. I'm going. I can't leave without her." So it helps her self worth a whole lot knowing that she's helping out the family. But her reaction, like you said, her reaction is just awesome.
I absolutely love that. So the, there you go again. That just goes to show that we're we all have the same reactions no matter what our disability is. Like how Kenzie loves to go to the food pantry and help out. Like I don't know one person who has excess meat and will just hoard it themselves. If they give it to friends, give it to neighbors, whatever, it's in our blood. It's in the out we're outdoorsmen, outdoors women, and it's in our blood, and it's just to live life off the land the way God intended us to live from the very beginning. I absolutely love that. I didn't know you guys did that. That just makes this story even cooler.
Oh yeah, yeah. She's killed three whitetails this fall. One with a crossbow, and then she killed a buck and a doe with crossbow, and we donated all three of those. We took those. We actually trying to think. Did we? Yeah, all three of those went to the food pantry, and we've got some others. There's some others that my wife and I have killed, and we donated those to the food pantry. But yes, that gives her such a she just loves it. I mean, like you said, that we can actually share others as outdoorsmen. We're helping somebody who's in need, give them some food to make it through.
Yeah, what an amazing girl. I love that. That's so cool. So like what how long has she been hunting? Like how long have you guys been at this?
We her first hunt was a turkey hunt when she was 15, and then we didn't hunt again until I believe it was 2019 was the first big first time she went big game hunting, and God opened doors. You know, her like you've seen her videos, it's infectious. Some people, I'd have somebody message me, said, "Man, I saw Kinsey, so excited. Hey, we want her to come down and go hunting." Or and it is open doors, and you know, I mean, she has just hunted. This fall, I will say she kind of got burned out. She's like, okay, I want to take a break. After the her last buck and doe with firearms, and she's just been chilling out. And as a dad, I'm like, okay, I'm ready to go. Let's go, let's go. And I did ask her tonight. I said, hey, you want to go hunting tomorrow evening? And she's in there thinking about it. And I think I'm going to convince her. It's with crossbow. We've got our late archery season going on,
Yeah.
and so every season, since 2019, uh, thankfully my wife and I have had jobs where we can, they're real flexible and we can schedule around stuff. And like we said, this year she went turkey hunting in Texas. She went to Nevada for antelope, Texas for scimitar oryx, and then she did crossbow whitetail with a city had a disability impaired hunt, and then she got drawn for an Oklahoma Wildlife Department disability hunt at our local lake here. So she put a lot of meat in the freezer this year.
Jeez. Yeah, that's a season right there. A lot of people just get one whitetail. She's out there. I always message when I see Kenzie get a harvest. I'm like, save some for the rest of us, man. Like she's out there just smoking everything.
Oh yeah, yep, yeah. It's a lot of fun. Like I said, her excitement. You get to the point in life, or at least I did. It's like, yeah, what's next? Well, what? Okay, I've hunted here, hunted there. What is that next level? Well, then when you see her excitement and impacting, helping somebody who has, help them get back out in the outdoors. I mean, that's a big, boost. Going on these hunts where somebody who hadn't hunted in years or had never hunted and getting an opportunity, or just to help them get out there. I mean, that's so neat to be able to get somebody back into the woods.
Right. And like we were talking before I hit the record button, like for me personally, like I started out when everyone starts hunting, they're like, "Oh, I want the biggest animal. I want racks on the wall. I want this. I want that." Like I'm probably 13 years into my hunting life now, and I just want to get in the woods, man. I just
Yeah.
want to get in the blind and just sit there. Like getting an animal is just cherry now. That's just the cherry on top. But sitting in the woods and all you hear is squirrels chirping, birds squawking, you see animals roaming around, and it's just like you're at peace, man. And so,
Oh yeah, and that's how I tell people, that people always talk about trophy hunting. Their context of trophy hunting so screwy. I mean, yeah, yeah. But I just tell people the opportunity is the trophy. Just like you said, getting to get out there. I mean, whether you kill anything or not, but and the being in the woods out there, that's so good for the soul. Just even if you don't get anything, hearing the squirrels, seeing the coyotes, the hawks or owls flying through. Yeah, those are the things that make it a hunt.
right, it's so if you're listening to this podcast and you're trying to get out there and you're trying to, harvest an animal and do all that, like don't forget the journey. Yeah, there's a goal, there's an end goal, but the real goal is the journey to get to that animal. Like once you get that animal, then yeah, sweet, like we have accomplished something, but like just getting there and getting out there and being out in nature and like with sometimes like we'll go hunt elk in the mountains and like I'm in a wheelchair and I'm not rolling around mountains, we'll go and we'll chop down trees and bushes and stuff. We'll take a sawzall with us and we'll make a lane and we'll make a little spot and I'll sit there for a week and maybe not even see an elk, you know what I mean? But you'll see an owl fly by. You'll see the squirrel climbing up the tree next to you, the chipmunks, little whitetail running through the bushes a couple hundred yards out. And it's so relaxing and so peaceful. And yeah, we want to get animals, we want to feed our family and all that stuff. That's the goal, obviously. But yeah, don't forget the journey. It's
Yeah, the journeys that the best part. Yeah, like you said, getting something is great, but that journey can change a person's whole life.
right, and it's in our blood. It's called adventure, it's in our blood. Anytime you step out of your house, life is an adventure. You never know what life's gonna throw your way. Nothing's scripted in this life we live, and if you can get out to a spot where it's just dead quiet, and I personally believe, that's the way people were supposed to live. That's why everyone in the city's so uptight and angry all the time, man. Like I live in the suburbs down here in Southern California, and we're surrounded by city, and it's just car horns and freeways and just people all over the place, and it's like it chokes you, you know what I mean? And once you get out there and you get out and there's just nothing around and you can finally sit back and relax and that's where it's at.
Yeah, Kinsey loves to fish too, as well as hunt. But I tell people, I said, just going out, even if it's to a city pond where you can fish, city, I said, even if you can get somebody out there where they can just sit in the shade, they may not catch anything, but just being out, and that does so much good for their soul, just to get away from all the stuff going on.
Yeah,
Uh,
right. Just life.
yeah,
That's amazing. So like what all can we dive into some stories about how you got like Kenzie into the woods logistically and how you can tell people like how heavy her chair is, what kind of modifications you guys may have for vehicles, and to get her out there, how you get her out there, the woods, blinds, like can you pick a specific story and just walk us through it?
yeah. I'm trying to think which would be early on. She's got a track chair now that changes everything. But 95, 99% won't be able to get one. She got that was gifted to her by a foundation. but the up until that time, I mean, it was I would load her into the Ranger, and I'd have her wheelchair in the back. We'd go set up, get close to where the ground blind is going to be, unload the wheelchair, and unload her into it, and then basically, I'd pull up the ground blind, roll her in there, and then put the ground blind back over the top of her. And was trying to think, I will say fishing was probably, that's been the hardest ones I can remember, just because, I would go down there with a just a manual wheelchair. I mean, and you're dealing with hard ground, or typically hard ground in the summer, but then when it gets soft, like that's a whole different matter. And it would wear me out trying to. I'd turn around, pull her backwards down to the pond, then pull her backwards, getting up out of there. Yeah, that's a feat in itself. But hunting, I will say, thankfully, uh, most of them where a ground blind was at, and put a wheelchair right there. Uh, that The track chair changed everything. It made my life so much easier. Not having to manhandle her so much. But I
Right.
will say we got a manual chair. We got it off Amazon. Like everybody else does, and it's a folding wheelchair. We use it for travel, and we use it for a lot of her hunts. It's a power slash manual wheelchair. You can disengage the wheels, and I think it weighs 70 pounds. Uh, so we'll fold it up and we take it on an airplane. I mean, we'll put it in the cargo, but I will say that we modified it. I mean, I had a sheet metal company, because you get this stock wheelchair from Amazon. It's not made for, it looks great in a brochure, but it's got webbing seats, got a webbing back, adult, made for a full adult. Well, I did a lot of work to it, and but I will say it works great. Now we did it, like I said, the sheet metal company made a lot of attachments, made a hard seat for it, and I used a back from another wheelchair. I call it a Frankenstein chair because it's combined a whole lot of other chairs into it.
You do what you have to do to get to where you want to go. That's what I'm trying to promote on this page. If you really want to get out into the woods, you'll make a way. Like, I can't recommend enough just reaching out. Like, a lot of people have a hard time, getting out of their shells because the disability community, I mean, obviously, I'm going to speak from my point of view. When I first got hurt, I didn't want to talk to nobody. I was, severely depressed, angry at life, angry at God. I didn't want to do anything, and I was just rotting away, and it's just my soul was just rotting. But then I started getting on Instagram, and I just started reaching out, and like, I reached out to my uncle. I knew my uncle had a little bit of hunting past, and he got me on a doe hunt. Harvested my first doe. I was like, that's it, dude. I know what I want to do for the rest of my life, and I'm gonna move mountains in order to get out there. I don't care what's going on, but just reaching out there, go online. I'm telling people, I always tell people this on this podcast, go online and just Google disabled hunts,
Oh
and
yeah,
a list of foundations will pop up. Every single state has a foundation somewhere located in that state that will take disabled hunters. Now you
yeah,
just reach out to them, type them a little message, tell people your story, da 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 da, and see where the dominoes fall, see where it goes from there. And if you're really dedicated to this hobby and this sport, you only need the idea. That's why I kind of wanted Mike just tell us how he got Kenzie out there, because it's really just getting out into the woods. And yeah, the manual chair on the soft dirt, especially after, let's say, rain or snow or whatever. Oh my gosh, it was an absolute nightmare. I had to upgrade my man because I was going around in my street chair, the wheelchair that I use for roaming around asphalt and stuff like that. They're not made for off-roading and 4x4ing, you know. So I had to upgrade the manual chair, had to get big knobby tires put on it. And like Mike said with this wheelchair that he got off of Amazon, you guys can MacGyver stuff. Go out
Oh
there,
yeah.
build it, tailor it to your body, tailor it to your needs. Put a gun rack on the side, put a fishing rod holder on the other side, whatever it is, you know, and if you can get a hold of one of these track chairs, I have a track chair as well. I haven't used it for hunting yet, but I do it for my 3D archery shoots in the summertime. Out here on the west, they have them all over the U.S., but out here on the in the west, it's very big. It's called 3D season, blah blah blah. But all these companies put them on in the mountains and stuff, and I'll get that track chair and I'll smash up the mountains and go through valleys and hills and stuff like that. I mean, I wish the battery power lasted longer, you know, but you're pushing a 500-pound chair up vertical hills. It's gonna suck the life out of anything, you know. But it they're game changers. You got the traction, and you got just talked to a buddy of mine, Dylan Duncan. He just got a hold of a Outrider Coyote e-bike, and it's a 4x4 e-bike that you sit on, and it has four wheels, and it's a off-road e-bike. You know, it's got mountain bike tires on each bike and each tire, and you smash off to wherever you got to go. But you'll figure ways out, but I highly recommend just reach out there, get out of your shell, get out of this hole we put ourselves in because we are our own worst enemy. We do this to ourselves. I mean, yeah, the world sucks, but the world isn't going to stop for us, guys. It's not going to be like, hold on, everybody. Derek DeMunn needs help over here. It's like, no, it's like you got to go out there and like there's a saying that I've taken to over the past like probably 6 months. It's like God will move mountains, but you got to bring your shovel. And it's like, so you're out there, you got to put in work, people. Like you got to figure it away. Just reach out, go on Google, find your foundations. You know, a lot of them have application periods. You put your application in, you figure it out from there, and you just go from there. Or if you're at home, you're in Oklahoma and there's woods, and just reach out, you know, reach out to your neighbors, reach out to your friends, your family. Like, so if that person doesn't know somebody, that person may know somebody. And then it's
Yeah.
just that person and that person and that person. And like Mike has said, it's like they went out for one hunt, and this adventure in Kenzie's life has just absolutely snowballed into her being one of the most infectious people on the internet right now. And like I absolutely love. I actually got Mike on Instagram. You can put a star on someone's page, and every time they post, that post will come up first on your page. And I have Mike on there first. He got Mike got a little star just because I love Kenzie's reactions and all her and her story and just following her. She's so awesome. And just keep at it, everybody. Just keep at it, keep going, and you'll be amazed. You will be amazed how God works and how dominoes fall in this lifetime. So
Well, yeah, I mean, you're right. I mean, Google, man, Google was my friend. Man, yeah, like you said, there's a foundation or some group that will help in every state. And just like you said, Google disabled hunts. Oh man, that was my go-to. You
right,
know, the disabled hunts, disabled hunt foundations. You know, just go with it, and then put it in your state. You know, and you'll be amazed. And you know, the wildlife department in typically every state will have disability hunts, and most of them don't have enough put in for them. But like you said, you know, just you can sit here and say, "Woe is me," and somebody's not, you know, why isn't somebody helping me? You know, a lot of times somebody's not going to help you. You got to figure that on your own.
yeah,
And once you get into the community, oh, there you'll find people that will want to help you. They see that you're excited about it, man. They want to be there to help you do it.
100%. If they see you're willing to put your effort in, you know, no, people don't want to, like I was talking on my last podcast with Dylan, people don't want to deal with burdens. We all have burdens in our life. And if you turn yourself into a burden and not an asset, then people aren't going to want to help. But if you're showing passion and you're showing the love of the life because we all have we're all outdoorsmen. We all have the same mindset. We all want to just get out there and get away, get in the woods and be at peace. That's where we're at. I every outdoorsman I've talked to says if they could just, just get out there and live in the woods, they would do it. You know what I mean? But life is what it is. But yeah, look up foundations. The first foundation I looked up, forgive me if buddy if you hear this and I completely forgot it, but it's a disabled hunt out in North Carolina. And I went and I was working my job. I had money saved up. I bought a plane ticket all the way out to North Carolina. They had somebody come to the airport, pick me up, drive me to this little shanty. No, it wasn't a shanty. Drive me to this little like reserve getaway hotelish type thing where they had a bunch of disabled hunters and they do it every year. And it was a 3-day hunt, deer hunt in the woods. And they stuck me with a buddy and we went hunting and that's that. I ended up harvesting, a couple does and brought meat home. There it is. It was, like hunting is an expensive sport, like you have to have your weapons, travel, blah 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 blah. XYZ, But they went out of their way to get me in the woods. And I couldn't thank them enough. So if you hear this, thank you so much for helping me out. You got me in, and the guy that they put me in the blind with, who picked me up from the airport, I still text with him to this day. That was 10 years ago. We still text. My buddy JD. We're still chatting, flipping. He'll send me photos of his harvest. I'll do the same, and we'll chat. And there's just another lifeline into the hunting industry. And then, from that opportunity, I was like, oh man, like this is really cool. And looked up something closer to home, and boom, there's something Arizona, there's something in Utah, Nevada, California, like everything, it's out there. You just got to put yourself out there.
Oh yeah, yeah, and yeah, like we all know, once you get into that disabled hunting community, man, everybody's willing to help you. I mean, like you said, you text back and forth, this and that. I probably within the last 4 days, I think I've texted or messaged 3 or 4 people about, hey, this hunt's coming up. You need to put in your application, this or that, to help remind you because they're a couple of them are still in that process of they're trying to get out. They're trying to make that first step,
Right, right.
and I'm trying to help push them. Okay, you can do this. Just do it. Just apply, and I'll help whatever you need. Paperwork, trying to figure out what you need to do to apply. I said, I'll help you. I mean, it's you know,
That's huge, right? That's huge right there too, because you just clicked something in my mind that's worked for me in the past too, is put there's periods where you put your name into like a lottery system and a tag, and you'll pick your name. And a lot of states there's like it's almost like guaranteed you'll get your name pulled. um but call your local fish and game headquarters. They did. I've you talk to fish and game, they will go. I've had more help through my local fishing game here in California, reaching out and getting me into like certain spots and helping me where I can go and where I can't go. And once they find out you're disabled and you're in a wheelchair and you're trying to get after it, a lot of people out there are really good souls, really good. They will move heaven and earth to get you in the woods. They'll hook you up with the local ranger. The local ranger will go out there and might take the day off and spend the day in the woods with you. You never know, but contact your local fish and game. That's an amazing contact right there. But yeah, always be putting in for tags. Look up your time. Every state has different time periods where you can apply for whatever animal it is, whatever. And that's just another way of taking a step out there. And let's say you pull a tag and you still like, oh, I pulled a tag. I have no idea what to do now. Contact with Fish and Game. Look up foundation, whatever, and then just just network, just talk, get on Instagram, create an Instagram account. I mean, just a little goofy face, dude, and you put your goofy face out there and you just you find people who hunt and you like their page. You like that page. Oh, that guy hunts. Like. That's what I went. I went up. I ended up following like 8,000 people, and I only had like 50 followers. You know, it was kind of a very awkward, but it got me to where I am today, and to where I'm able to do a lot of hunts and take a lot of friends and go, oh, Wyoming. Oh, you want to come out to Wyoming and hunt elk? Yeah, man, I'm all about it. Let's go. Boom. XYZ, just the routes, like I said, if you become an asset and you become a great person and you are friendly, people are they're gonna want to help. They're gonna want to hang out with you.
Oh yeah, people want to help. I mean, if they know you're into it, man, they'll bend over backwards to help you do it. I mean, all the cases I know, I mean, all the hunts I can think of. I mean, and you'll go in. I've been on those hunts where I've had guys tell me at the end, usually they're crying. They say, I came to this hunt, volunteering. That man, look, I'm thinking, look at what I'm doing, helping this little disabled girl go out there and hunt. And then they saw how much it impacted her, how much she had to go through to try to get to do it. And they said, yeah, she helped me far more than I ever did anything to help her.
Yeah, that's where the saying giving is better than receiving. Like it's people don't realize how hard it is for people in wheelchairs or people with disabilities to just not even necessarily hunt, just live a normal life and day to day. And I come over. I had a friend over at my house last night. I'm in my kitchen. I'm in kitchen cooking some back straps, and he's like, "Do you need help?" He's like, "No, man, leave me alone, dude. You go sit on the couch, shut up, let me do my thing." And at the end of the night, dude, he's like, "Man, I had no idea." Because like I have those claws where you have to reach up, open up the top drawer, take the bag out with the claw. You have to do this. You MacGyver your situations around your life to where you can survive and to where you got, logistically can figure it out. And he was like, "Dude, this is so rad, man." So it's like, yeah, a lot of people out there, they just have no idea what it's like, but once they do, it's a drug, you know what I mean? Like they will reach out and they will help out, and like you may get something out of your hunt, you know what I mean? But you never know how much more you're giving somebody than just you receiving a hunt. Like you don't know like how impactful you touched their heart and their soul, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, definitely. Uh, I know when you talk about transportation, we did last year. We've had it about a year and a half ago. And it's one of those things. Your phase in life. Everybody can't do that, but we a year and a half ago we got a Dodge ProMaster van. It's like they use for delivering. Amazon used delivery. One of the big white vans, tall
Yeah.
and everything. And we had a mobility company. We bought it used, had a mobility company, finish it out, put in the ramp and everything. Man, that thing was the greatest thing we ever, it's got so much room, for our situation. I can stand up walking down through there, putting Kinsey, loading her chair up, and we put a flip down ramp in the back, uh, which was just half-inch wider than her track chair. So we can haul her track chair with us. And
Sick.
it's big enough that we could, if a person wanted to, you could put one or two cots in there, and sleep in the back of it. We're like, oh, yeah, this was great. Yeah, that's been a great for traveling for her trips.
Yeah, that's really cool. And I know that one thing we haven't really touched on is we've talked a lot about manual chairs, but Kenzie's mostly in a electrical wheelchair, correct? Like she lives her life
Yes.
out of an electrical chair, and those are a lot heavier and a lot more logistically demanding than a manual chair. So yeah, just getting out there and MacGyvering your way around life and figuring it out, right?
Yeah. Yeah. That one's probably, without her in it, it's around 420 pounds. and you put her in it, and that's it's one of those things. We'll go fishing down at the pond, but it has to be rock hard. The soil, there can't be any soft spots. Uh, we learned that early on.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Real quick.
Yeah,
Yeah, same. Yeah, same here. Real quick. That's cool. So I saw recently Kenzie harvested a freaking toad of a whitetail. Can you tell us how that story happened?
man, that was yeah. I've told her. I said, God shines down on her because she got drawn for that, and it's a hunt that's only from our house. It's a disability hunt through the state wildlife department. It's held at the lake. Probably, I mean, for us, yeah, it's probably around 20 miles. And I only put her in for that hunt because it is so close, so handy. There's other hunts in the state we could put in for, but we'd have to have lodging, this and that. Well, we can just drive back and forth. And it was a hunt from Friday afternoon through Sunday morning. Well, we got out there. We they I mean, like I said, it's great. They volunteers. They feed all everybody every meal. They feed you. You can camp there at the lake. It's at the Corps of Engineers. Well, we met the guy that was taking us to the blind. She drew for a blind. They had 10 hunters there, drew for the blind. We met him at the turnoff. He drove us to this blind, and we unloaded. And it's like a big corrugated metal pipe that they set on the Corps of Engineers land for blinds decades ago. So it's a metal blind, and got a roof on it. Well, the we unloaded everything, got everything in there, and I went to park the pickup probably around 400 yards away, and he drove me back. Got in his pickup, drove back. I was getting in there, got set up. I mean, I hadn't even been there 5 minutes, and I see a deer coming through the woods, and it's a spike, a little spike. Well, you can kill two deer, a buck and a doe, or two does. They told every hunter, man, if possible, kill two deer because that's the only hunt they have there in that area at the dam, and they have a lot of vehicle deer collisions. So they try to really cut down on the deer in that area.
Right.
And so that that buck came feeding through the brush there and the trees, and he was probably 30 yards in front of us. And I told him, okay, we're not going, we're not even interested in this one. But well, he would be feeding on acorns every once in a while. He'd put his head up and he'd look, to my right, which is outside he'd kind of look past it. We're in a tree line, all trees, and every once in a while I'll do that. Well, then finally he looked up and he was just staring. And I told him, I said, man, there's some deer over there. I don't know what, but he's looking at something. Well, then I could see through the trees, through that tree line. I saw horns moving up and down, and I thought he must be, it's a buck that he's rubbing his horns on a branch or something. And I told him, so there's a buck here. Can't see anything other than horns. Well, all of a sudden he jumped the fence not 40 yards from us, and I said, well, okay, this is one we're going to go after. I mean, I knew right away, and so well, we didn't even have typically like you've seen, I'll have that camera set up where I get to see her reaction. I mean, at this time it's around almost 2:45 in the afternoon. I wasn't expecting anything to happen until the evening. I mean, we got there, we got into the blind at about 2:20. So I was like, we got time. We'll worry about this. Well, I was just okay. Hey, I said, I tell people this emergency. I implement emergency procedures because I wasn't ready for this. And well, he was winding through there, and he got out there probably 30, 35 yards in front of us, and I thought, well, he's going to stop and mess that, kind of feed maybe on acorns and mess with that spike. But he was just walking. He was going to check scrape lines and everything. Well, and so I bleated. He stopped. I whispered, "Good." And Kinsey, I will say, she shot automatically. It was within 1-2 seconds. And as soon as she shot, man, it was a hit. I had no doubt because it was visible. There was blood
Wow.
everywhere.
Yeah,
And,
you know a good hit when you know a good
oh
hit.
yeah, I mean, it's one of those. That's probably the most. physical evidence. I mean, because it was just dead on. And he ran over the ridge, and with on that hunt, since it's through the Corps of Engineers, they tell you do not get out of the blind. For no reason, don't get out of the blind. Text us. And so I texted the guy Brock, the guy that was our took us there and everything. Hey, we got a buck down. I know he's down. And so he came over with two or three others. And I said he's right over should be right over that ridge. And they went down and they signaled. They came up signal and they said, yeah, he's big. And so they pulled him up there, and I was it's one of those things. It's all in the moment. I knew he's a good buck, but it's like, hey, we're just getting him. As soon as we brought him up here, I was like, golly, that's a really big buck. And Kenzie was thrilled. Of course, she was all, and and that he's got. I didn't think of that thing. I didn't think that much about it at the time, but he's got a double throat patch, double white throat patch. Which I was like, man, I've never even killed one, because they're like, look, he's got a double throat patch, and I was like, oh, that is cool. And so they loaded him up. They took him, because they cut him up, a process. They do take care of everything for the hunters.
Yeah.
And so I said, okay, we're going to stay here. We'll try to shoot a doe. Well, that evening, right before dark, there's a doe came in. She shot that doe, and so she got both her deer on that first afternoon. And
So rad.
and he was one. They scored him at 131 and change. Well, there's a local taxidermist that I don't know how many decades. I think they started this hunt in 1999. Well, he mounts the biggest buck of the weekend. Well, hers was the biggest buck, and so she's getting him mounted.
I was gonna
So
say
that
it's gonna be hard to beat that thing.
oh
It only
yeah,
measured out at 131, man. Is that a big deer for your guys, like genetically, like in your area? Is that how big as they get?
no, they get there was a man that was disabled. When he came over and started talking to us, as soon as he drew, she said, and I don't remember if it was last year or the year before. He said, "Hey, I drew that blind that you are hunting. I hunted that," and he said that's a great blind. He killed one out there, like I said, the last 2 years, one of the 2 years that scored 161. I was like, holy moly!
That's
And
a
there's
toad.
oh yeah, it's a great area because that's the only hunt they have. Those deer on one side is a power plant land. There's no hunting on that power plant
Okay,
land. The other side is a
no
big
pressure.
ranch. Yeah, no pressure. They got very little pressure, so they don't. They the bucks aren't bothered at all. So yeah, there's some big bucks in there.
That's funny how that story went about, because I don't know if you could see that buck over
Yeah,
that guy right there.
yeah.
I got into the blind uh at noon. I got in the blind at noon. I was like, cool, I'm gonna be here till 5:36. And then, that golden hour comes out. 12:35. That thing walked out right in front of me. And I was like, oh, no brainer, dude. That guy taped out at 164 and 7/8, dude. So I was like, oh my
Oh
gosh, man. So
God.
yeah, just get out. I personally, like in my hunting life now, I just like all day sits. I'll sit out there
Yeah,
all day long, like sometimes you go back to the hotel, whatever, if you got, you gotta take care of, whatever logistically, but then
yeah,
get back out there as soon as you possibly can. You never know what time of day those critters are gonna pop out. Yeah,
yeah.
12:30 in the
You never.
afternoon. Because usually we would hunt in the morning, go and get breakfast, go and take a little nap, and then go back out around 2:30. That day I was like, I don't want to sit in this hotel. Like, let's get back out there. We got back out there, and sure as heck, dude, just freaking the Godzilla of the land comes walking. And you never know. And the
Oh
thing with this one over my shoulder, he came out sniffing a doe. So like you never know. Like they
what state?
might be rutting
What
or
state was he
what.
in?
What's
What
that?
state was that in? What state was he in?
That was Southeast Kansas.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah, I was about 2 hours north of Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Yep.
Great land out there. Giant bucks, giant bucks. But crazy life. You never know. Get out there and live life as much as you can. Get in that blind and don't leave, man. Like just take a nap in the blind. You know, if you gotta go to the bathroom, piss in a bring empty bottles, bring so empty Gatorade bottles, empty whatever bottles, pee in the bottles, you know what I mean? And
Oh
you
yeah.
know, just pack them out, dude, and then just pour them out in the parking lot, whatever you got to do. But yeah, quite. You know, it is what it is. You get out there and you got to do what you got to do. But so we're coming up here on towards the end of this recording, Mike, and I just what's one like what's a little slice of Mike Burnside wisdom you can give us for somebody who's trying to get out there that we may not have already talked about?
Uh,
Or whatever you have on your head, whatever you want to say to somebody who's thinking about hunting.
man, I just can't. I can't. We can't stress enough. Google, man. Google is your friend. I mean that. Hey, how do I? Google. Disabled shooting equipment. Google disabled compound bows. It may not give you the direct link, but it will take you to. You get into layers and layers. There's pages and pages of Google, and we don't have those people. There's no manual. How do you find this stuff? If you're lucky, you'll find somebody. Hey, go look at this page. Go look at this. But you're not going to, and you got to get that initial done. But yeah, like you talked about, Google is. And I can't stress that enough. Just don't give up. Go out there and like putting in applications, like you're talking about putting in for tags. That Kenzie's Nevada antelope she did this year. It took her 4 years. I'd put her in every year, and as her fourth year, she got drawn. So yeah, don't give up just because you don't get drawn that first year or it doesn't happen that first year. You don't kill anything. Go out there and just love the experience. Just clear your mind.
Right. That's the goal. It may not be the cherry on top of the ice cream sundae, but it sure as heck is a cup full of ice cream.
It's better than sitting inside watching the news or watching TV or
Or watching
sitting there.
somebody else harvest a deer.
Yeah, no kidding. Watching a hunting show, saying, "Man, I wish I could do that." Well, just go out and do it.
Yeah, yeah. Shut up, stop whining, and get out there. Handle it. But
Yeah,
and one thing I want to do too is like I love the ability to even have this podcast, even to start it. I've just started it. I really have no idea what I'm doing. I'm just going along, but I'm just trying to poke around and get people in the outdoors who may not, or who just may be looking for that jump. But I'm a God-fearing man, and I thank God for everything He's got me through, all the adventures He's blessed me with, all that stuff. So at the end of every podcast, I like to lift up a prayer. So if you guys can join me, you guys don't have to, but I'm gonna go ahead and lift up a prayer real quick. Father God, thank you so much for this opportunity to speak with Mike. Thank you for the wisdom and knowledge he's blessed us with. Thank you for the stories, Lord, and thank you for his amazing daughter who's touched so many hearts and souls, Lord God. Thank you for the blessings that you bestow upon us, Lord God, and I pray that those who have eyes to see and ears to hear, Lord God, that they would be blessed with this podcast and that you would get them out in the woods, that they would put their lifeline out there, Lord God, and that the dominoes would fall where they may. Lord, bless this evening, bless this trip, bless this podcast, Lord, and thank you so much for the wilderness you created and have given us. And it's in your son's name I pray. Amen.
amen.
Awesome, Mike. Thank you so much for coming on here, buddy. I'll be in touch. You know, we'll talk. I'm sure I'll see you out there at are you heading out to Utah this year for the
Man,
expo?
I'd love to. I don't think I am.
Oh,
Yeah. Part of me, hey, I'd love to go out there, man. I had a blast out there
yeah, that
I
was
thought I
cool
was out
hanging
there.
out.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Cool. Well, hopefully I'll see you around, and if not, I'm definitely following your page and keeping track of Kenzie's reactions. So, what is it, Mike at Mike
yeah,
Burnside Living Life?
yeah. At Mike Burnside Living Life.
If there it is, guys. If you haven't heard it, check out that Instagram. It's you'll be addicted. So just want to say thank you, everybody. Thank you for Mike for being on here, and I appreciate your time, bud.
Okay, thanks a lot, Derek.